in at least the neighborhood. Another environment that this could be interesting is the jazz scene, which is also very much something that Copenhagen is famous for, and where it's to some it's surprising to look at the migration thing. But if you think about it, of course, all these American musicians, who many of them came here and stayed here, they were in their own right migrants, and we had the pleasure of cells, and the city consists of them, but there's something that connects them. And of course, it's a little bit of a construction, but we found out that we had this time board, it's called in our collection, things and passwords. And for navigation, it's very important to have a precise time. So it was actually mainly for the ships that they did that. But yeah, I thought as well for a period, and then I realized it's because of Greenwich Mean Time. So I thought that. And then I looked again and I realized no, it wasn't. It was because in Greenwich they always also do it at 1 o'clock. And they have the time that's still over there. And it's something about the astronomers, because it was always connected to the observatory. And they had so many other things to do at 12 o'clock. So they had to do it at 1 o'clock because they were the one who actually operated the thing, both here and in Greenwich. So it was not because of Greenwich Mean Time, it's because of the task of the astronomers. And I cannot explain to you what they have in the photographs. I guess there's a lot of mystery to be done there. Over here we have then also one example of an immigrant community. And I'm afraid we have to turn back to the Jews to be historical at least, because the Jews we talked about in the last section was actually very well integrated when we came to around 1900. But then a new group of Eastern European Jews came here, and they migrated actually to all over Europe and to a lot of them also to the United States. And they were very different from other people that had been here before, as you can also see in that image there, which is one of the traditional dressed Jews. And they also spoke a very strange language. They spoke Yiddish, which nobody had ever heard in Copenhagen. So they were sort of there was a renewed interest in them as a group of foreigners, and there was also much more fear of what could happen if these people became more and more, and if they settled here, and if they lived together in small and very compressed neighborhoods, because most of them were poor, so they moved into the poorest districts of the inner city. And then the discussion also ensued, do we actually have a ghetto now? So this is back to the Chinese people. That because there was many of them living in this quarter, and you also see the cafe is named Vladivostok, so it's already there. You have some of the Eastern European connections. Then people thought, some of them are also socialists, well, not all very religious actually. So some of them were socialists, and then they were afraid that there might be a revolution, just like they had in Russia later on, and so on. So there's a lot of fear around this migration, and even the Jews who lived there already, they tried to help, but they also tried to get most of them to move on. So they tried to help them with paying the ticket to the United States, for instance, to London or something else. In the end, 2,000 or 3,000 Jews stayed here, and they began to assimilate, as you can see in different aspects. For instance, this image is from Kolonihave. You know Kolonihave? No. Like in Copenhagen, I guess also another time. In Copenhagen, you have very much this that workers' families, they had a ground where they could do a little garden outside the city area in the northwest of Copenhagen, and then you even start to bring these images. Finally, if you look at some of the books and newspapers here, you would see that Yiddish was actually used very widely in Copenhagen, and you had Yiddish newspapers printed and books printed, and you had Yiddish library actually where people could go and read Yiddish books. And as it says in the stamp, everybody was welcome, but I guess if you didn't know really Yiddish, it was kind of hard to get much out of it. And this was, of course, like later migration as well, cause of big debates. And somebody said that someone meant that it was important that they learn Danish as quick as possible, and that they didn't use Yiddish. This case, they improved debates. in that item. Yeah, you like taking questions. Over here, talking about the aid that is the influence of the West, which is both Western Europe, Paris, London, but also the West, because
Det åbner bare jeg kan bare gå ind og være med. Jeg har fået noget, vi godt kan få åbne. Det er eneste godt, han har sagt.
Everyone in the museum has extended our vocabulary these last few weeks. For eftermiddag, good afternoon, we're Tardes, Your Excellency, partners, colleagues, friends. At New Year's 2010, I was drifting around Mexico City and in the Museum of Anthropology as one does, and amidst the fabulous and monumental archaeological collections, I stumbled into this Titambulos exhibition. I was immediately struck by envy, and this does not happen to me very often. I was struck by both envy and admiration of this exhibition. I so wished my museum had made this exhibition, and I so wished that this exhibition had been about my city, had been about Copenhagen. I was totally charmed by the exhibition's tender affection for its rambling megacity. I was impressed with the intellectual scope of the unrelenting analysis. I was delighted with the funky, unpretentious exhibition design, the easy, forgiving wind.
Space with our humble, not perhaps in such a formal and elegant way as the spaces here, but it is Baroque in the sense of its multiplicity, its endless diversity, the way that as you explore it you discover unexpected flourishes and endless details that lead you on and on. And we hope that's your experience of the exhibition as well. It's an exhibition which has no beginning or end, it has no fixed route through it. You are free to explore, following your own path and creating your own exhibition. What we have learned also from the experience of bringing it here is that all great cities have something to learn from each other. Copenhagen has as much to learn from Mexico as perhaps Mexico has to learn from Copenhagen. I think Copenhagen could teach Mexico a thing or two about designing the perfect bike lane, for example. But Copenhagen could learn from Mexico some things, for example, about improvisation, about how the citizens, how people can respond to situations where infrastructure is lacking, for example, and how people can invent their own city. That's something that Mexico and Mexicans are very good at. And the exhibition itself illustrates that, as you shall see, if you haven't already. The whole exhibition is constructed from 850 plastic crates, which represent this spirit of improvisation and of finding multiple uses for every object, because we have used the crates to create a whole city. But I shall leave you to discover it for yourself, and it only remains for me to thank, above all, the ambassador of Mexico in Denmark, Marta Varsinakoki, all her staff at the embassy who have been wonderful in helping to bring us over here, Claudia and Mariana in particular, and of course here everybody at the museum, Yoda above all for going to Mexico just at the right time and for having faith in us and determination to bring us here. she decided this is exactly what Copenhagen needs, for one reason or another. And all the team here, Sophie Linde, Camille Morthurst, and all the restorers, and the people in administration here, Eric and his team, I don't know if they're here, they're hiding. They have been an absolute pleasure to work with the people here setting up the exhibition. One of the pleasures every time that we've set it up is to see how people, not only the public, but also the people we work with in setting up the exhibition, our sponsors. In Germany, where this was first held, the DAS, Deutsche Architekturzentrum, Alfred Herrhausen Society. In Mexico, the INA, and I think that's everybody we need to mention. So, I shall, with no further ado, I shall hand you back to Jeda. Many thanks.
At every exhibition opening these days, we quote that cities are places where we learn to live with strangers and with multiplicity within each of ourselves. Cities are places of negotiations, where we have to negotiate our every move to avoid colliding with others, to avoid infringing on the rights and the needs of other people. We can only live this closely to each other in mutual respect. No maps will enable us to negotiate the complexities of the contemporary urban context. We can only make this work. We can only make this work if, as you said, we continuously look each other in the eyes. It's the key to why Mexico City functions so well, you said. At the Museum of Copenhagen, where the staff itself is increasingly international in composition, we would greatly enjoy the new challenges that Citambulos has brought us, and I think we've all given it that little extra effort. We enjoyed working with the curators, with the technicians, and with the artists who have now unfortunately left us and gone back. We've greatly enjoyed working with the Mexican Embassy in Copenhagen, and we're grateful for the support we've received. I'm particularly happy to introduce to you Marta Martina Kofi, the ambassador of Mexico to Denmark, who will open the exhibition for us.
Director of the Copenhagen Museum, dear Camila, Sophie, Valentina, Christian, and Fionn, curators of the Citambulos. Members of la comunidad mexicana, como siempre, bienvenidos. And distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my dear all Danish friends. It is an honor and a pleasure to open this exciting exhibition, Citambulos, drifting through the Mexican megalopolis, presented in collaboration with the Copenhagen Museum here. We have been working with the museum constantly since last year, the celebration of the centennial of the revolution, and it has always been a great experience. I am convinced that this is an excellent opportunity to further the dialogue between Copenhagen and Mexico City. As you know, we are learning from Copenhagen, as Fionn said. We are now, the government of Mexico City, introducing a system of bicycles in Mexico based on the Copenhagen experience and with the help and advice of the Copenhagen city. The two cities are distant and contrasting, and yet have shared many experiences and continue to learn from each other. As you know, the metropolitan area of Mexico City is among the 5 largest in the world. According to the mayor of Mexico City, Marcelo Ebrard, is the 2nd largest after Tokyo. With over 20 million inhabitants living in an area of around 7,000 square kilometers. I would like to mention that ever since the Aztec founded the pre-Hispanic city of Tenochtitlan in the same site that now constitutes Mexico City, in the year 1325, it was known for being a very large and complex conurbation of towns that were interconnected by a sophisticated systems of roads, bridges, and canals, just like Copenhagen. The destiny of the megalopolis seemed to be laid down since then. The magnitude of the city, together with countless other social, economic, and cultural factors, leads to a very special dynamic in which the people of Mexico in just one single exhibition. It is not easy, but after seeing the exhibition, you get the feeling of Mexico City. I think very close to the heart. I should like to make a special recognition to the 7 young Mexican artists from Colectivo Última Hora from Iztapalapa, who for 2 weeks have worked on the site to build the amazing bocho trajinera that you saw at the entrance. It is a very imaginative piece that combines the Volkswagen, or bocho, as we call it, and as well as you know, it was produced in Mexico, in the Volkswagen plant in Mexico for many years, which used to be the most popular taxi cab navigating the streets of Mexico City. Now it's been substituted by Nissans. But with the trajinera, a kind of cano boat that was used in pre-Hispanic times as a means of transportation to navigate through the canals that used to connect the city and that you can still enjoy in Xochimilco. I am very proud to have Citambulos presented in Copenhagen, and I wish all of you a very pleasant and interesting journey into the depths of the Mexican megalopolis. So thank you, Jete, thank you to the curators, and as an act of opening, we will have a very Mexican tradition. I hope the piñata breaks.
only just was greater in the street world. Everybody was me. كيف خلاص خلاص مستوى لسه ماشيين لسه عم نشوف لا خذنا انا الصيام مثلا عم نفتح بابا انا واحد جديد في الزمن ايام والله عشان نتحلق يعني لا ولا جمعة انا بالعمل حالي بعتذر كثير عم يفنش على واحد اسمه احمد جوي باقيك حبيبي جوز قاعد يطلع عن السينما انا وين
You don't have to say, you don't have to focus whether you are Muslim or Christian or Danish or American, you can focus on that.
sjovt til dagens anledning. Gengæld har den potte stået der rigtig længe.
Ja.
Og det formodet.
Kan du mærke det, den der boldvogn bliver sagt?
Hvornår?
Sparer du penge?